Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine Crestani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I'm joined by the delightful Indra Rinzler. He's a lifetime spiritual seeker. He's a healer, teacher, and offers life readings for clients. Astrology, the Enneagram of personality, and location astrology are the main modalities that he shares. He's been studying astrology and spirituality for 50 years. He first learned of the Enneagram of personality in 1999, and he works to help people to live beyond their conditioned stories and to live more in the moment. He is a frequent guest on podcasts, and Indra's Net, his first book, is soon to be released, and I believe it's pretty close to going out. Is that right, Indra?
No, it's
It's out.
4 or 5 days.
Well, by the time this is aired, it will definitely be out. So, which is
Yes.
very exciting. So, I feel the first thing I want to ask before we jump into your book is what is an Enneagram of personality? I've never heard of that before.
So the word Enneagram comes from Greece, and it means nine-sided figure, and it's a combination of geometric shapes that create 9 points, and anything can be put at the points when it was originally given to us. But the Enneagram of personality is that there are 9 personality types, and only 9 personality types, and it is on the simplest of levels, it's personality typing. But on a deeper level, that these are the 9 types, and that they understanding one of them is at our core. It's our core strategy. And by understanding this core strategy, we're able to let go of all conditioning and all obsessions and compulsions because we understand the reasonings behind our stories and our strategy to protect the mind and the ego self.
Yeah. Which we often do.
Yeah, which we're not only often, but continually doing until we
Yeah.
aren't, until we realize that it's not really who we are and there's really nothing to protect.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, right? Like the whole thing about ego and your intuition and which one do you learn to listen to? But the more you learn to listen to your intuition, the more I find that ego tends to turn down until you're in that state of fatigue or you're like in a really tired place or things aren't going well, then the ego's like, "Oh, I've got some ammunition to turn myself back up again." Then, "Oh, okay, that's right. We'll come back to where we are." Yeah.
Well, yes, because you can't follow you can't feel the intuition or follow the intuition or hear it while the mind is going. It's kind of an either or. So when we quiet the mind, then the intuition appears, and then we block the intuition with the mental thoughts. So the process of letting go of the mental thoughts and letting go of the stories and the need to protect something that doesn't need any protection, in fact, doesn't even exist, is the strategy in order to be intuitive.
Yeah, definitely. I love how you summarize that in such a simple thing. It's harder than Indra makes it out to be when you're starting, and then it evolves. So I feel to ask, you've practiced for over 50 years, which is amazing. What started you on your spiritual journey, or was it something that was always there? Like, what is the story there?
Yeah, the story is that, well, I mean, it wasn't that I had something in the corporate life. I never got started in that. That never seemed right to me. But it was my parents had both died in my early 20s, and I was freed to follow my heart. And I think that I don't remember the words we used back then in 1970, but it was, find peace, or to find truth, or find my way, or whatever it was. And we started going to I moved to California, and I found the metaphysical bookstores, and I found natural foods, which was brand new back then, and I started reading, and one thing led to another. There wasn't, there may have been I'm sure there was a plan, but it wasn't my plan. And just one thing led to another, that this is what made the most sense: spirituality and following the heart and exploring. And I had an Indian guru for 50 years and lived in a spiritual community for 20 years and been traveling the world ever since then. Boy, I was going to say find myself to just be, it's not really, there's no plan. It's not so conscious. It's just following the breadcrumbs one after another.
Yeah. And I feel that that's something that is really important for everyone to remember, that it is about following the breadcrumbs one after the other and being open and curious and brave enough to say yes and jump in on it, right? Rather than just running away from that might be something new and I don't know what it is, and getting stuck in the unknown.
Way. And what I like to say is that everybody's on the path, but everybody doesn't know it, because
Mm,
there is no other choice.
yep,
There's only
true.
the path. So the two
Yeah. Yeah, I love I love that you're not on the path. We can laugh about that, but everyone else is like, "What?" So, I haven't read your book, but I have looked through it, and thank you for sharing that with me. But I love that you've actually associated the tarot with the different aspects of your book. So how did that come about?
Well, I mean, it was just given to me by intuition, but the idea was that I had written these short stories, or I called them themes, 500 to 1,000 words, and when I tried to put them into an order, nothing made any sense. And eventually, I mean, I had been working with the tarot for 25 years. Well, let's see, at that time, maybe 20 years. And so it was logical at the beginning, but I mean, logical in the sense, well, oh, these are a little bit like tarot readings, they're a little.
Yeah. I find it so beautiful to put a book together that way, like to put a book together purely through source, divine, God, universe, all knowing, whatever you want to call the higher power. But I had a similar experience, Indra, when I was writing my book, where I thought I was done. And then I got, no, 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 there's more. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, there's more. And I was like, oh, all right then, let's just let it flow. And like you said, the book takes its own energy, and the book creates this own, vibration and frequency of itself. And I feel that's what attracts it. And I remember reading about the different energies of children coming in. And I can't remember if it was a crystal child or something, but they were saying they'll get to a point where people will come in and souls will come in, that they'll just put their hands on the book and understand the energy that comes out of it without reading it. And I feel this is when you're writing and creating a book, like you said, it knew what it had to do, but you just had to discover it. It's similar to that vibration the book will then carry when other people pick it up and choose to read it. And
InterestNet is it's a Hindu and Buddhist concept that I didn't make up, that is already going on.
I
Oh, I'm in Bodh Gaya, where the Buddhist tree is, the Bodhi tree, the place we celebrate. It's the 5-minute walk from here.
beautiful.
So let me tell you about a Buddhist concept while we're in a place the Buddha walked. So Indra's net is 2,000 years old. It was a Hindu and a Buddhist teaching, and Indra was the king of the gods. And as a king of the gods, he had a net that was large enough to cover the whole universe. This is the myth. This is the story. And each place in the net where the net crossed, there was a jewel would hang, and the jewels were faceted jewels, and they had the ability to reflect every other jewel and everything else in existence. And so Indra's net is the story of the interconnectedness of all of life. And in the book, Indra's net is represented in that the path is all of them, while each card or each theme can take you to perfection if you go into it deep enough. The idea that it's the jewel in the front cover is the book is us and is the particular story, and that we're all jewels, and we're all being reflected and reflecting. And so it became a an analogy that both was
Very
symbolic
fitting.
of what I
Mm.
felt, but also really took the book. The book has a tremendous number of levels to it, and that's why it works for beginning people and for very advanced people. That's my hope, is that while it may not be for very advanced, it may not be totally new material, but it takes them to a sense of peace and understanding almost immediately.
I love that because my next question was, what would you hope people get from the book? So thank you for reading my mind and answering that ahead of time.
Well, I mean, I don't have any expectations. Uh, I had a lady write this morning on a post a very cool book, and she started getting it, and she liked the twist, which is that the trump cards go backwards because it's the Tarot of coming home. It's not the Tarot of living in the world. It's the Tarot of coming home. And then each theme in the book, each story in the book is either a teaching that I had heard, or a teaching that I had given, or an experience, or just today and just a reflection. And I was walking along today, and the name of the sequel, if I decide to do that, if I feel I should do that, came. And it came after, I didn't know that you know this, but the Indian women in the poorer areas, they take the cow, they all have cows because they use it for milk. And the cow makes manure, and they all take these. I don't know if you've ever seen this. They take the manure and they make it into patties, and they stick them on walls, and they dry them, and then they use them for fuel. And so I've seen this for 25 years in India, and I have walked the same path I walk. Take a 40-minute walk every morning or every day, and I've been on this particular path, like 6 times, but only today did I realize that they take the waste and they turn them into fuel. And the idea that the theme would be that is an idea for a theme in the sequel. And the theme would be that's why the lessons and the hurts and the pains, that they turn into gold. That we can cook our food and keep ourselves warm by reality. What is actually manure? Real manure from the cow.
I just keep hearing from poop to fire or to
From
poop
poop
to
to
fuel.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to call it that, but
No.
something like that. But the idea being that the waste actually turns into gold, just like our lessons, our feeling doomed, is actually the beginning of our awakening.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, this book I'm reading at the moment, it talks about when we get in the darkness, we feel like we're so lonely and that we're isolated, but it's actually a womb. Like you're being rebirthed. You have to go through those steps and those initiations to get to the other side and understand why you went through it as well. And then when you're in it, it's really hard sometimes to see. But when you get to the other side, you're like, oh, I get why I had to shed that identity or had to let that go or let that person go or that situation go. But when you're in it, it can be really hard to get out to the other side. So I can imagine when you're in the poo, it does feel like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by poo everywhere. But then when you get to the other side, you can see how it can become your fuel and it can become your energy to spark that next step in your life.
Well, the other part of this I didn't mention, and actually didn't occur to me right now, is that the other 6 times that I've been walking on the path, I see the women watering down the manure and getting it ready, like kneading it like it's clay, like you're about to throw a pot. And there's a joy on their face. It's not like, oh my God, I'm dealing with poo. They're like, this is their role in the family, is that they're the provider by making the fuel, by fueling the family with this, making these things. They stick them on the walls, and then they dry, then they can burn them.
That's
So
so
it's all Indra's net, the idea that everything is interconnected, and that the joy that you see on their faces they're doing it is an incredible teaching.
yeah. And it's so reflective of life, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so You've been a spiritual teacher for over 50 plus years or in spirituality and that sort of thing. What has been the most profound thing that you've learnt on your journey?
Well, most profound is a little hard to say. Uh, I think it's just the sheer, in India we are touched every day by the women making manure pies and having smile on their face. The beggars when they have a beatific smile. I think the most profound is the simplicity of all of the teachers of the enlightened, that it's not a when it's a look at me, they're not enlightened. And the simplicity of the bliss is not complicated. And it's already something that we have and know. It's just that we have to, so we, what it is it's a remembrance of letting go of the blocks to something that we already know, that's already real and true and within us.
Yeah.
So I think it's on that level that the the profundity is that it's so simple and beautiful. It's not complicated. We complicate it in order to protect ourselves. And when we let that go by continually the Buddhists in the temple here, the temple is filled with Buddhists, and you have the red ones, which are the more Nepalese, and we think of as Buddhists, and then there's the kind of tan ones, and I think they're Thai, and then there's the gray, the ones that dress in gray, and I think that's more like Korean, somewhere like that, China maybe, and they're all doing up and downs. They do this pronoming like a sun salute, and the idea is that you want to do 100,000 a month. It's 3,000 a day. So there are the grounds. I think are like 5 acres, and there's many levels. Everybody is, who's they come for a month or 2 days. Some people come, the old people come for a day and touch the temple for their next life. But there are hundreds of people sitting there doing prayers. And there's one guy that I've seen when I was here 14 years ago. The same guy was sitting there, and he's got one hand, he's got the prayer wheel turning, and the other one has got a drum that he turns back and forth, and he's doing prayers and doing this, and whenever I go, he's there doing it, and it's just absolutely incredible how much energy and how much willingness and that they're doing. I There's one restaurant that probably the best one around that I like to go to, and I like going there when there's nobody there. And then one time I was up later because I'm still sort of adjusting to the time. And I was there at 7 o'clock, and they have 2 stories, and it was totally packed. I mean, there must have been 100 or 125 people in there. And I asked one of the waiters yesterday about that, and he said, well, I said, I like to come when there's nobody here. He says, well, they're all at the temple. And then when the temple time is over, then they all come over. He says they're there 11 to 1 or something. They come and eat, and I don't go then. But then I go at 6 o'clock and nobody's there. And then at 7 o'clock, the place is packed because everybody's done their Sunday for the day, and they're back eating at Mohammed's. It's the simplicity that is so touching. That when we make it complicated, that's not so touching to me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sometimes it's just that simple thing, for me. I very much do a lot of stuff with nature, hence the tree behind me, but I connect a lot with nature. And sometimes, the other morning it had just been raining, and on my son's monkey bars out the window, there was like just this beautiful, perfect drop, like droplet of water sitting there, but refracting the sun in such a way it was like rainbows were shining through it. And I just said to him, I'm like, look at that. And we just stared at this droplet for I don't even know how long. But it was such a simple thing, but finding and not making it complicated, like you said, just appreciating the simplicity of it and how, just a droplet of water with the sun refracting through can be such a beautiful thing to look at too.
Absolutely. The simple life is the life of the monk and nun, and simple life on the spiritual path is the goal. That is the jewel, is
Yeah,
the simplicity. It's
100%.
not the wearing of the jewels. It's the fact that it's so simple.
And as we start to finish our time together, Indra, I ask the guests that come on the show if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
Well, I think the biggest problem we have is greed. That again, as an astrologer, it's the downside of Venus. The greed, the arrogance, the blaming, self-righteous judgments. I don't know if it's just this age or whether it's the Earth story, but I feel that it's the downside of our closest neighbor. That Venus has a wonderful PR firm, but the fact is that it was hit by a meteor and it actually rotates backwards. The sun rises in the west and sets in the east, and its day, its own circling of itself, is longer than its year. That it circles the sun quicker than it circles itself. 242 days for what we do in 24 hours, and what we do in 365 days, it's 225 days. And so it's has the most poisonous atmosphere, the hottest planet with the poisonous atmosphere, and 93 times the density of Earth. And so I just think the greed and the arrogance and self-righteous blaming, comparisons, this is the poison that we have. That wanting what somebody else has because they had it when we could have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I like that you put that comparison of Venus because people go, oh, Venus, love and but there's a lot more that comes.
It's not divine love. They're all divine love. It's the sticky love.
It's the sticky love. I love that. Venus is the sticky love. So your book will, by the time this podcast comes out, your book will be out. Where can people find your book, or if they want to come and connect with you?
Amazon.
Amazon? Easy.
Amazon easy. And there's the ebook. Right now, I don't know what it'll be like when this comes out. Now, for some reason, it's expensive in Australia, and we're going to change that. But there's an ebook that's very cheap.
Beautiful. And if people want to come find you, Indra, and work with you,
Yes, IndraRinzler.com. I have to life readings using Vedic astrology and the Enneagram and location astrology and a few other modalities in order to reflect back to people the life story, the conditioned story that is holding them back.
beautiful. I love that so much.
It's about empowering. It's not about telling. It's not about predictions. I do astrology in a very different way. It's about empowering people to understand the challenges in order to be able to see through them and let them go.
I feel that's such an important contrast because a lot of people do give their power away when they're looking for astrology or they're looking for reasons to explain their situation rather than becoming I want to say their own hero, but, finding the information so that they can move through the situation and grow and evolve.
Yes, and that's on the path too. That's a stage, and that's a beautiful stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're getting closer when you're there.
I love that. It's like you're just a little bit closer, a little bit closer. But that's life, right? That's just life
That's it. That's
evolving.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Indra, for being on the show and sharing about Indra's Net. I feel very informed now, but also about what you're doing in the world to help empower people through to their next step in their life. So thank you so much for being on and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.